Missing someone. Missing someone. Missing someone.
Hi everyone! Thanks so much for tuning in to my channel today. My name is Maggie with Mags Made It. I'm really excited for what we have planned today. Today I decided to do a little bit of a project. Recently I've been seeing those hand-woven pillows that people have been making. I've seen them all over YouTube and all over Pinterest, and they're super cute and they look like they're a ton of fun to make, so I'm really excited to make one today. Sorry, this is gonna be a really short intro. I don't really have a lot to say. I just got back from the craft store, so let me show you what I got and then we'll just jump into the video. I'll list all the materials I use in the description, so you can go ahead and check that out. For this pillow, you will need some assorted yarn. Try to get as many different textures and sizes as possible. I decided to use 3 colors, white, cream, and this pinkish color. For the frame of the loom, I bought a 20-inch by 20-inch canvas. I'll be using a hammer, nails, an Exacto-knife, and a long ruler. I got some string. You can use any color you want, but you have to make sure that the string doesn't stretch at all. I will be using pillow stuffing and some cream fabric for the other side of the pillow. I forgot to film this, but I'll also be using some fabric glue, scissors, pins, and chopsticks. Lastly, I got some yarn needles. These were only a couple of dollars and they really are necessary if you want the weaving process to go quickly. I started by removing the canvas from the frame. I used my Exacto-knife to take it all off. I wanted to be careful with this so I could possibly reuse some of the canvas, but you can also just rip it off. I flipped the canvas over and used my ruler to make marks every centimeter along the top and bottom of the frame. Make sure that the marks you make at the top of the frame line up with the marks that you make at the bottom. Because we have downstairs neighbors, I went outside to hammer all the nails into where I just made the marks. I would recommend using longer nails than I did so you don't hurt your fingers with the hammer. Just make sure that the nails aren't too thick or they won't go into the frame as easily. I went back inside and tied the beginning of the string to the first nail. I strung it back and forth, going over every 2 nails. You need to go over every 2 nails or else the string distance will not be even, which we don't want. When you are done going over all the nails, you can tie the end off at the last nail. I weaved the long ruler in between every other string. This will make the weaving process much easier and will help you not make mistakes. I decided to start with my thin white yarn. I threaded it through the yarn needle and started weaving through every other string. Make sure that you leave a little tail. You'll secure this at the very end. Every time you begin with a new piece of yarn, you'll leave those tails. Also, whenever you go from one row to the next, make sure that you keep the loop loose at the end so it doesn't pull on the string. You can just use your fingers to push the weaved yarn to the bottom. With the white yarn, I weaved about 10 rows. Next, I'm going in with my thicker pink yarn. I did a few rows with this yarn, then decided to create a pattern by not weaving all the way to the end and stopping about halfway through. I took the thicker cream yarn for this section and decided to cut it in half. I then weaved through the gaps that I didn't cover with the pink yarn. I added a few rows at the top. For the next few rows, I will be doing a new technique. I needed a long skewer for this but didn't have any, so I decided to tape 2 chopsticks together to make it longer. I used my cream yarn to make one row, then laid down the chopstick and will be weaving around it. I will be going under the rows that I'm supposed to, but I will be weaving over the top of the chopstick, then bringing the yarn to the bottom of the chopstick and repeating over and over. It's easiest to understand if you just watch the video. To secure the loops you just made, you need to do one regular row at the top, then push the yarn down. I repeated this technique one more time. After that was done, I added some white yarn and moved on to the pink yarn again. I wanted to try another technique to make a braided look. I did a few normal rows, then started the braided row. If you are weaving from left to right, you need to go under the right side of the string, then go out from the top left side of the string. You can continue this down the row. Again, it's just easier if you watch what I'm doing. Be sure not to pull the yarn too tight and leave it a little bit loose. After that row is done, I will be doing the same thing, just opposite. So now I will just start on the left side of the string and thread it to the top right of the string. After that, I just continued with the pink yarn. I went in with the cream yarn and made some more loops with the chopsticks. I'm going to skip some footage because from here everything is pretty easy to figure out and I don't want to make the video super long. Right here I just did the braided technique with my thick yarn only halfway through. Then I just did a normal weave back to the end. Then I went in with my small white yarn. Of course it takes longer the smaller the yarn is, but I really like adding the various yarn sizes. After I finished the pillow, I ended up using some fabric glue to secure the thick yarn to the thin yarn because it left a bit of a hole in the pillow. Now I'm nearing the end of my pillow and I decided to end it the same way that I started it, by using the thin white yarn. Once I was finished with all the weaving, I just left a tail at the end and cut it off. Now I'm just cutting all of the strings from off the loom and tying a double knot so it won't come undone. I do this at the top and bottom. You can see here that I'm cutting off the string so it's just the knot. I only did this to a few of them and realized that it isn't a good technique because you can still see the knots and some additional string and it's just really visible and doesn't really look cute. Instead, I decided to flip it over and use fabric glue to glue down the strings to the back. After I glued all of those down, I'm just taking my yarn needle and securing all of the tails that I left on the sides. You just thread the yarn through the needle, then stitch it under a weaved piece of yarn. For the yarn that was more thick, I just glued that down instead. It looks like I didn't film any of this, but with the fabric that I bought for the other side of the pillow, I cut 1 inch longer on every side of the pillow, then folded it and ironed it down so it would be the same size as the weaved piece of fabric I just made. I then put the two pieces of the pillow together and secured it with pins. Because you won't be sewing the pillow at all, you don't need the pillow to be inside out. You can just make it how you would like the pillow to be, if that makes any sense. I then removed the pins from one side and glued the two pieces together. I did that with 2 more sides, leaving one side open. And then I left it to dry for 30 minutes. After those 30 minutes, I took the pins out of the last side and started to stuff it with the pillow stuffing. I separated the stuffing a little before putting it into the pillow to reduce the lumps. I glued the last side of the pillow together. I was worried that the stuffing was going to separate the two sides so they wouldn't be glued together, so I added some pins to keep the stuffing away from the glue so it would bond properly. I waited another 30 minutes for it to dry and then I took out the pins. And after all that, we are done. This is what my pillow looks like all finished up. And I am obsessed with it. I think it looks so great and it was super fun to make too, and I will definitely be making more of these in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think the pillow turned out really cute and I really hope that this inspired you to make one as well. Thanks again for watching. My channel has just started. This is my second ever video, so if you'd like to keep up with all the videos that I post, be sure to subscribe. I will be posting videos every Saturday with more crafting, thrifting, and home decor ideas. Thanks everyone. Hope you have a wonderful day.